Hello, my friends and colleagues. I'm here. I'm here in my nerd cave, giving you guys this professional development session, which is appropriate because I am super nerdy about education, and I'm super nerdy about making sure that our kids have the best education possible. And today, I want to talk about technology and education, using technology as a way of making sure that our students are getting the best possible education as we can give them, and making sure that our students are meeting all of our student expected outcomes. I'm gonna share my screen real fast. All right. So here we go. So we are developing teachers to improve lesson plans using technology. All right, so our objectives today include using Atlas as a classroom roadmap, using Google Classroom as an instruction tool, and assessing student performance in Google Classroom. These are all three ways that we can use technology to improve what happens in our classrooms and improve that educational experience that our students get. When we discuss assessing that curriculum map, and Atlas is at the end of the day a curriculum mapping program, and when we're talking about how we assess that, we need to talk about a holistic approach to our curriculum, from the top down, from pacing down to unit planning, down to even lesson planning. Education consultant Max Thompson identified bad curriculum design as the cause of widespread achievement gaps. So if we can organize our curriculum in such a way that we're not missing anything and we're making sure that we hit our school standards and our state standards, our kids are going to be better off for it. Is the unit aligned with standards, objectives, and guidelines? That is the question that is being asked. Is there a balance of teaching strategies, learning strategies, and authentic tasks that engage and meets the need of diverse learners? Have I sequenced the activities clearly? Do the formative and summative assessments measure the knowledge and skills identified in the objectives? So these are the questions that Max Thompson is asking. Let's continue. So Atlas is an excellent tool for some of those things I just talked about: pacing out the year, mapping the curriculum, unit planning, and lesson planning. Let's go to Atlas real fast. All right, here we go. We're going to back up some. I want to show you guys Atlas from the front page here. So we can, there we go. All right, so here's Atlas from the front page. So I've got American government up here. You can see right here how I've paced the year out. I've got civic involvement and civic participation and skills taking place through August through September. I've got the Declaration of Independence, Articles of Confederation going into October, and then so on and so forth. And here to the left, you can actually see these topics are aligned based on state standards. Let's go to history. That's what we're going to be discussing today, some history stuff. All right. So industrialization, you can see, goes through August into September, and then imperialism through World War II takes us from mid-September to mid-October, and then the Roaring Twenties and the Great Depression takes us through the end of October. Specifically, that's what we're going to be talking about today, is the Roaring Twenties and Great Depression, because we're going to discuss a lesson that has actually been planned around the Great Depression. All right, so let's click on that, and here you can see in Atlas, and teachers, this is why it's so important to make sure that your Atlas is filled out and up to date. We can't just fill it out and then leave it for 5 years. We have to make sure that Atlas is a working document. It's something that we're constantly in and something that we're constantly using and referring back to. So here you can see I've got my unit up here, the Roaring Twenties and the Great Depression. In this unit, at the top, I've got expected student outcomes. These are expected student outcomes as aligned with the mission and vision of Emmanuel Christian Academy. So this is our school standards here at the top, and making sure that we are meeting our school standards through our lessons. So these are the standards that we're going to address throughout the course of this unit. Down here is the enduring understandings. So enduring understandings are things that students are going to take away from this unit. And here you can see actually that when we're discussing the Great Depression, they're gonna some of their enduring understandings are going to be the causes of the causes of the Great Depression are multifaceted. That the Great Depression, its fallout had major impact, and the FDR's New Deal had a significant impact on society. So these three topics, these three topics right here are going to be the crux of the lesson that we're going to be discussing shortly. Essential questions. Again, these are some of the things that we're going to have to make sure that we ask our students and that our students know the answer to by the end of this unit. Down here are the standards. So these are the state standards right here. These are actually what aligns our unit with our state standards. This is proof right here that we are planning to meet our state standards in our unit and in our lessons. This connects the state standards with what we're doing. So again, it's incredibly important that we are up to date. For those of you who don't know, social studies, they just changed their state standards about a year ago. So it was really important for me and my colleagues to get in here and make sure that we were updating the state standards to the current ones. All right. Here we have content on the left. Content is basically what are they going to learn in the broadest terms possible. And then on the right is the objectives. What are the objectives? What are the students going to learn a little more specifically? Here we have assessments. So we have quizzes, we have tests, we have things of that nature under the assessment section. And then here at the bottom is learning activities. And this is kind of broad. This is kind of what are they going to be doing throughout this unit. So I put in here that it includes reading text and articles, presentations, group discussions, classroom lectures, classroom discussions, working in the textbook, things of that nature. That's going to be their activities over the next 30 plus days as we're discussing this unit. And then over on the right is resources. So what are the resources that I use? So I've got my textbook, I've got my PowerPoints, I've got my crash course video series, I've got my America, the Story of Us video series. So again, everything is laid out pretty specifically as a unit. So some of it is kind of in broad terms, but we've definitely mapped out a unit here, making sure that we've met the mission and vision of the school, and making sure that we have met the state standards, while at the same time making sure that we've planned well enough to be confident when we go into the classroom that we have a roadmap that will get us from point A to point B and make sure that our students are getting the information that we wish to give them. So over here, we have lesson planning. So the lesson that I have in here specifically right now is for a Great Depression Part 3 lesson that was taught on November 5th of 2020. So this is just one example that I wanted to give you guys. It's one that I've already taught this year. But when looking at lessons, this was very easy. When looking at lesson plans, this was extremely easy to come up with because I had already done a lot of the work on the front end during my unit planning. So here you can see in this specific lesson, I've got the school standards that are going to be addressed in this lesson right here. I've got the state standards that are going to be addressed in this lesson right here. So I've got school standards, state standards. Again, I am tying specific lesson on a specific day to school standards and state standards. All right, and then I can click on here, fetching my file. I can click on here and then actually open up, my lesson plan that is in RenWeb. So here we go. This is the lesson plan that I've uploaded into RenWeb. So I've got Great Depression Part 3. I've got homework notes. I've got documents, which is my PowerPoint. I've got the standards that I'm addressing. I've got the objectives. I've got procedures. I've got materials. And in this case, since it was a remote lesson, students will have their Chromebooks. All right, this is again, this lesson plan has been created specifically from the information that I had already put into the unit planning section. All right, so lesson planning becomes a lot easier and a lot more efficient when you've already done that work on the front end on unit planning. All right, so let's go back over here to our PowerPoint. We've already addressed Atlas. Atlas is, again, a pacing tool for the year, a curriculum mapping, unit mapping, and lesson planning. So Atlas is a great tool for all of those. So how do students specifically use classroom and the technology? Atlas is a good example of how teachers can use technology to make sure their classrooms run more effectively. But how do students use it? Well, frankly, we're in a world where students are ahead of their parents, and in many cases ahead of the teachers in usage of technology. Students have progressed in their use of technology to where they use tech for a variety of legitimate classroom reasons. In addition to, so Wood, Mirza, and Shaw said, in addition, today's students use technology for a wide array of learning tasks, including note-taking, summarizing lessons, viewing course materials, testing, demonstrations, searches, and collaboration with peers. This was taken from the article, Using Technology to Promote Classroom Instruction, Assessing Incidences of On-Task and Off-Task Multitasking and Learning. But it's true. Students are, number one, ahead of where their parents are, on average. Number two, they are, in some cases, ahead of where the teachers are. And number three, they use technology in the classroom already for a variety of different reasons. So we should lean into that and make sure that we are guiding our students in their use of technology. All right, so Google Classroom specifically is a great tool for number one, remote learning, two, student communication, three, assignments, assigning classwork and homework, and number four, assessments. Let's go over to Google Classroom. All right, here we have classes. I've got my classes divided by period. So I've got my flex period, I've got my 8th period American history, American government. I got both my American government classes, both my American history classes, and my geography class here. Let's look at that American history class. Let's look at that Great Depression lesson. So first of all, as you can see, you've got the front page here that is filled with communications that I have with my students. Some of it is fun communications. My kids know that I'm a big movie nerd, so I talk about movies on here with my students as a way of building relationship with them, as a way of building rapport with them. But I also post important classroom related material. Like right here, I've got today's stuff: Neville Chamberlain's speech, Winston Churchill's speech. You know, YouTube speeches, trying to make or YouTube videos of historical speeches, trying to make history come alive. Down here, I posted my PowerPoint that I did over a World War II lesson. So after I give my lecture, after I give my lesson, I actually make the PowerPoint available to them, and they can come back here and refer to it as we continue to learn in the unit. So Google Classroom can be an information dump where we just start sharing stuff with our students and making more resources available to our students as we progress through the unit. Now, I want to go over here to classwork. Some of this, here, let's go down here. I want to go down to the Great Depression. All right, so we get down here to the Great Depression. You can see here I had them write an essay on the New Deal. And there's the instructions and etc. Now, I'm not going to show the assignment because that would show student first and last names and grades. But if I clicked on View Assignment, you would actually see more detailed instructions where I go into much more detail on what the expectations are. This is kind of an overview, where on the bottom end, if you click View Assignment, you can really get into specific details on what you want out of the assignment. Here I've got a research paper on Of Mice and Men. Again, clicking on View Assignment, you would see much more detailed instructions, but Google Classroom also gives you the ability to write a rubric. And I do that for a lot of my papers, where it's clear to the students what the expectations are and how they're going to be graded. And then we even have, let's talk about assessment, because assessment is a big part of this. So here, you can even write a test in the Google Classroom. Now, again, I can't view the assignment because that'll give kids first and last names and their grades, but I can pull up the blank test here where you can actually see what a Google Classroom test will look like. Now this one specifically is multiple choice, but you can do fill in the blanks, you can do short answer, you can do essays, you can do all sorts of different questions or all sorts of different formats that can measure student knowledge and what they've learned in the unit and in the specific lessons. So again, it's a great tool, and actually, in my opinion, it makes teaching in some ways the job of teaching quite a bit easier, because if I put together the answer key, it does my grading for me. Now I will double check it to make sure that I didn't make a mistake when writing the answer key. However, it does save a lot of time. So this is a great way to do assessment, and it's a great way to make assessments to improve how we assess our students, especially here in the COVID era, in the pandemic era, where all of our students are not always in the classroom with us. Some of our students might be remote learning. We might be on a hybrid model. We might be on strictly a remote model. We've already gone through all three of those scenarios already this year. So we need to be able to assess our students remotely. And this is a great way to do that. It can be used if all the students are in the classroom, but it's a great way to assess our students remotely. So technology definitely makes remote learning and hybrid learning much easier for accomplishing our goals and making sure that we can evaluate what our students are learning. All right, let's go back to the PowerPoint here. Does anybody have any questions? All righty, well, I want to thank you so much for your attention in today's Google Classroom. And in today's, because this is in Google Classroom, I want to thank you everybody for your attention in today's professional development. If you have any questions, you all have my email address. Please let me know. We can even set up a time to sit down and discuss some of this further if you don't know exactly how to access your Atlas or how to navigate it, or if you don't even know how to access or navigate your Google Classroom. That's okay. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help make sure that you can get from point A to point B and use this technology in a way that it will help you achieve your goals for your students so that we can have the best classroom experience possible. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll talk to you guys later.